Hi, everyone. A big thank you for everyone that's joined us. We're very, very lucky this week. We've not only had one, but we've had two special guests. We didn't do our monthly Zoom meeting in January for many reasons, and we've managed to get two in for this month. The exciting news is we're going to be coming live from Wembley Stadium on the 16th of March and the 15th of March. And we're going to be doing two more in March as well. So don't expect two Zoom meetings every month, guys, but we will be delivering two for you in March as well. Now, I've got a special guest to introduce you to. We've done some work and collaborations with a lot of big clubs in the UK and Europe over the past couple of years. And some of you I know some of our players have recently been on tour over to the UK, and you met Vipin, who's our special guest today at Tranmere Rovers. And I'm just going to ask if everyone can keep your microphones muted. So Nix and Vittles, can you just turn your microphone off for me, please? We're getting a little bit of sound back. Thanks, Nixon. So if you are watching over the next 30, 40 minutes, guys, if you can just leave your microphones on mute, that would be amazing. So, guys, I'd like to introduce you to Vipin. I've known Vipin for probably a couple of years now, and I've met him through Tranmere Rovers. And we're just going to tell you a couple of things, a little bit about Vipin. But Vipin, I'll give you a chance to introduce yourself and maybe give everyone a 2 to 3 minute background on your involvement in football.
Okay. So, hi, guys. Thank you, Ray, for giving me this opportunity. And myself, Vipin Paulus, and I'm from India. And I'm basically from north side of India, a place called Jaipur, which is near to Delhi. So I have played my football in state and national level back in India, which was like a few years back. And I was working in real estate, but I always felt football is my passion. So I came to UK last year where I did my MBA in football industries, and which is like a special course, special MBA, which is specialization in football specific management. And there I've been I graduated in December and currently interning with Tranmere Rovers, where I take care of the international marketing of the sponsorship and the academy training programs. And with this MBA, I was in Spain in January, where we went to Atletico Madrid, we went to Barcelona, we went to Real Madrid academy training programs, and Espanol as well. So we had a huge array of different type of sporting industry where for my future development. And as a football player myself, and meeting Ray was really interesting because I also want to develop football internationally with what I know, and the collaboration with Ray helps us to collaborate and give back to the society, especially the football kids who can get the infrastructure in place so that they can grow into a better footballer. So yeah, Ray, that's my story, and hope we all can grow together.
Amazing introduction. Thank you, Vic. And so for the mums and dads and players who are tuned in today, this one's a really important one because you all know, and I've spoke a lot about it, I'm a single full-time dad with two daughters, and education is so important because sometimes being a professional athlete doesn't always work out or go to plan. Unfortunately, you can get an injury, you can have an accident. And one of the big things that's paramount is the availability of sport and education, especially in the UK, side by side. It's not an overly big thing in Australia. So it was important for us to bring Vipin on because Vipin's a testament to someone who played football at the highest level, wanted to do it at the highest level, but didn't quite finish off being at the very top level, but still found a career within football. So one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Vipin, in relation to at what age was it when you sort of knew the football journey as a pro player was starting to come to an end? And did you instantly think you were going to stay in football, or did you think you were going to go down a different route?
So basically, Ray, I'll be very clear. So I started when I was 8 years old, and I played under 12s, under 14, under 17, and I played under 21 senior national when I was 16 years old. So I started playing on the right wing, but my coach said I stopped one player who was playing a really good striker. He was really speedy, but I had the vision to play as a centre back better, so I can make the offsides because that time Carlos Puyol was doing all the offside trap for Barcelona. So I started playing on the right back and central defense. So what happened was I started playing well, and after a few nationals tournaments, I was in Delhi University, which is one of the top university in India, which I got through sports infrastructure. But then I realized the whole infrastructure of football in India is not that great. So after, like when I was 19, 20, I realized that I wouldn't be able to make it as a professional. So I decided to come to UK 10 years back. I did my master's in marketing, and then I landed a real estate job back home in India. And I was working in real estate in my family owned business, but at the same time, I was taking care of the real estate portfolio of HNI clients. But football, I used to breathe football, eat football. That's where I realized football is something where I should make it as a professional, and I can grow, and I should love that what I do. So I learned from Ray, you should enjoy what you do. So,
It's
so I mean,
amazing.
yeah,
It's such a good story, and it's good to resonate with people of similar stories. And I think a lot of people know my story. I realized at 15, 16, I wasn't going to make it, and I was very fortunate that I had a mentor who said, right, just because making it as a pro is over, it doesn't mean your football journey is over. Like, you can be a physio, you can be a sports scientist, you can be a coach, you could be an agent. And that really opens up my eyes. And it was so exciting at the age of 15 to know that I probably wasn't going to make it as a pro, but I actually could still work in a game of football and help players. And I've been so fortunate to do this job. And I know you're the same as well, Vip, and you love working in a game
yes,
of football.
yeah. And I
Now,
think
go on, carry on.
so. As Ray might have seen, I have a very talented boy whose name is Jaden, and he's only 2 years old now, but he's dribbling the ball at the age of 14 months, and that's interesting. And Ray will take care of him hopefully, and he can become the first Indian footballer to play in Premier League. Maybe I don't know. I mean, who
Yes.
knows? Yeah.
That's one of the deals that we've done with Vip, and we're going to get Vipin to collaborate and help us over the next few years. And the deal is that we're going to turn Vipin's boy into the next Premier League superstar, but also the first Indian Premier League superstar. So that's a dream and a vision that we're pushing towards. Now, it's obviously very close to my heart, Vipin, because as I've just said, I went down that route of education and doing my studies and becoming a coach, and then I've recently become an agent. And um, just for those boys and girls who are watching tonight and are watching this back, what's the one bit of advice you would give them if football doesn't work out? And would you recommend staying in the game of football?
I think the thing which you guys love is football, yeah. So don't be disheartened if you don't become a professional player. But I think world doesn't stop there. Your love for football, you can become a big coach. And sporting industry, if you have seen what has happened after COVID, people had a sedentary life, but after COVID, people realized that they have to play, and football never stopped. So if you see, all the businesses in the world stopped, but football was back again online by Premier League, Bundesliga. Only football was the thing which was sane. Okay. So my advice would be, if, for example, your journey of becoming a professional player doesn't work out, but Mourinho was not a football player. He Alex Ferguson never was a big player, but he became the biggest coach in the world. So my advice would be, you can start your own business. You can work for different football clubs in Australia, Canada, US, and Saudi Arabia is a big market coming up in next 14, 15 years. And football will always be there. Trust me, guys, I can assure you, I have so much experience of selling real estate, but all these things come into one picture, that football makes us alive. Yeah. So my advice would be, the world is a big playground, and as a footballer, we all are like team players. Yeah. Messi can't win the Premier League all alone. Not Premier League, World Cup. He had different players working for him. If Martinez wouldn't have saved that goal in the final, Messi wouldn't have won that league, World Cup. Simple.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I think we can do a lot of stuff. If you are a footballer, I think my teacher in school used to say, the kids who play football, they are thinking every microsecond. because the passes which you make, if you play football, you can do anything. I think that's what I think, basically.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I want to touch on, Vic, and obviously we know you've spent a lot of time last year with some of the big clubs, especially in
Yeah.
Spain, Barcelona, I think it was Atletico Madrid. Can you maybe just give us a couple of examples, some of the things that you've seen over in Spain that really, really impressed you, whether it was to do with the coach and whether it was to do with the setup of the club, if you could share one or two of them stories with the players?
So I think a very interesting aspect when we met the scouting of Real Madrid was an Argentinian football player. So he's scouting the under 12s. So what happens in the Spanish region is they are actually recruiting the big clubs like Barcelona, Real Madrid. They are actually recruiting kids from Catalan region at a very young age. So how the English football and Spanish football is totally different, because in Spain and UK it's a different model,
Yeah.
because players are developing in a different way of style. Yeah. So in Spain, when I met the Real Madrid guy, what they are doing, India is not anywhere close to what they are doing, because they are recruiting kids at a very young age and they're developing. So the Real Madrid model for scouting can tell you that the kid's going to play when it's going to be 16, when they're 9 years old. But as Ray always say, you have to develop. Like for example, I'll give you a very interesting example. We went to uh, a club called Fleetwood Town. So it's, you might not know that club because Jamie Vardy used to play. So
Well,
some
just to put
players
a bit of
develop.
context, sorry, Vipin, but just to put a bit of context, so the actual scout who scouted Jamie Vardy from Fleetwood Town, you're actually looking at him.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. So trust. So, oh my God, Ray, you should have told me that. So basically, what I'm saying is some kids develop early. Like for example, they told us a very interesting story how Messi was recruited by Barcelona in Argentina because he had a hormonal growth problem, which
Yes.
Barcelona said we can do this. It can only happen in Barcelona. So they are doing something with all the development. So I think what's happening with AI, football is going to be a more interesting domain in coming 10, 15 years. Because now,
Yes.
if you see Ray 10 years, 15 years back, you couldn't have imagined that 11 players playing in a game, you're getting the data from the 22 players. But now it's like in 10 minutes, you're getting the data. So I think with AI and how so there is a thing called digital twin. So digital twin basically is a visualization technique where if I'm in India, Australia, I can sit in Old Trafford and see the game. And I can assure you the company is known as Cosmos and they're going to be in Australia soon. Trust me on that. Because they are
Yeah.
selling like $1,000 or $1,500 tickets in LA and people can watch Old Trafford right across. So it's going to go into their home theaters now. So that's what
Yeah.
I feel. Football is too good.
Yeah. The future's changing. I spent a lot of time when I was doing my coaching badges in UEFA, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Espanyol. The one club that really stood out to me was Real Madrid. And the
Mhm.
thing that I got at Real Madrid was the best way to explain this. If there was an option to buy a ball for training, if there was a ball for €20 and there was a ball for €50, whether or not the ball for €50 was better, it was actually we're going to get the ball for €50 because it was everything was about prestige. We have everything, the best of everything. And then what we found was the coaches and the players just went up to that level. It's no surprises to me, I think, with that mentality that they've won 15 Champions Leagues. Out of all
Yeah.
the clubs in Spain, Vip, and for our listeners tuning in, was the one club to you that really stood out when you done your study visits that you went, that's for me the best club on many levels? Was the one that really stuck out to
Yeah.
you?
Yeah, I think, and another club which I really felt was doing really good is Espanyol. Recently, they defeated Real Madrid. So
Yeah,
when we went in January, they were playing in the second division, and I just told the marketing head that what, because from the Basque region, they are the best club who are developing kids, and the big clubs take them. Yeah, and if you
yeah,
see the Espanyol's academy is a long, good, really good projects which is there. So I think but nobody knows Espanyol a lot because in Barcelona there is only one big club, Barcelona. But if you see the history, Espanyol was one of the biggest club in Barcelona.
Yes, yes.
So as from India, I would have only knew a lot about Barcelona, but when we saw their journey, how the history is, and they're like in so in Liverpool you have two clubs, Everton and Liverpool, and in Barcelona there is two clubs in Catalan region, your Barcelona and Espanyol, and the history is like Liverpool and Everton.
And they play in blue as well, don't they? Like Everton.
It's, so yeah, that's like cricket for India, Australia. Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it when I first went to Barcelona when I was in I think it was my early 30s. And then I went to this shopping mall. And then I said, oh, wow,
Hmm.
this shopping mall's huge. It's got it looks like a stadium. And someone's like, that is a stadium. That's
That's a
Espanyol
stadium.
Stadium. And I'm like, wow. And we went
Oh,
in and done a tour. We actually went to a game the next night. And it was really, it just felt really good. And it felt like it was one of them clubs that you could see they're developing some really talented players. Now,
oh,
everyone
100%.
who's watching and tuning in, guys, we've got a lot of questions coming in. So what we're going to do is,
Yeah.
guys, if you do have a question, drop it in and I will ask Vipin. Now, we've probably got Vipin for another 25 minutes, if that's okay with you, Vipin. Uh,
Yeah, I'm okay.
I'm going to ask a few questions from our players and families. And guys,
Okay.
we will try and get through every question, but we can't promise because we're tied for time. But first question we've got, and I'm just going to go through. So this one's from Nixon Vittles, and I love this one. In your opinion, Vipin, what do you think Spanish clubs are looking for in players?
I think the Spanish clubs are looking for mindset of the player because in Spain they play in all the different till under 14 they are actually playing in different position. They're not assigning one specific position. So if you see Jamal, right? So he had played in all the position before coming into selecting in a right wing. So in Spain they play in, that's why you can see in the World Cup or maybe in the bigger competition they play in a cohesive way. I think
Yeah,
that's a big difference in Spain.
that's a great answer. That was a great question. Now, the next one that we've got is from Jake Watson Roddy, and he's one of our
Okay.
goalkeepers on our program. What's the best way to build your own personal brand, and how can you get noticed overseas as a player, in your opinion?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. So, I mean, if you're a fan of Buffon or De Gea, but goalkeepers are the most. So, the biggest example could be Martinez. He couldn't start for Arsenal, yeah, but he developed as a player and become a brand himself. But I won't say to become Martinez, but you'll be your own brand once you start focusing on your game. If you focus on your game, automatically your brand will become once you become a good player. I think that will be my advice.
That's amazing. And you're going to get to meet Jake Watson Roddy in the future, Vipin, because he's very soon about to go on a trial opportunity to the UK, and one of them's going to be a Tranmere. So
Okay.
you could be meeting the future Tranmere Rovers goalkeeper.
Oh, I'll be there for you, mate.
Now, next question's from Kelly. This is a great question. So, if you can't make it to be a professional player, what are some of the best routes for football instead of being a player? And is there anything you can recommend to help players think which way they should go?
So Kelly, so I did my dissertation on women's football, and my one of my really good friend is manager of Mary Earps. So I did women's football because I think there's a big scope for women's football, and I think it's going to develop really big in next 1 or 2 decades. And you can see the Super Bowl commercial from Nike. After 27 years, they produced a totally for women's sports. So I think if you don't become a professional football player, there's going to be a huge scope of working in agencies where football going to be your domain, where you're going to market, or because football is going to be great. Because if you see the US model, uh, let's take the example of Angel City FC, how Natalia Portman and all the other ladies have developed a club. So they didn't develop a club; they built a brand first, and they then came into like exist. I think there's a big scope for you guys. You play well, like Mario. Marriott is a bigger brand than club which he plays for.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
that's a great answer. And I think just to build on that one as well, one of the things that Vipin won't mind me sharing, but I actually done it as well, is actually sometimes it's going to be hard to get a job as a coach or as a physio or a sports scientist. And one of my recommendations is volunteer your time, actually offer to work for a club for free. And I know that's something
Yeah.
that Vipin's done, and it's something that I done. So when I was in my early coaching years, I actually volunteered my time to Liverpool Football Club. And I said, look, I've done one coaching badge. I'm going to do my second one. I want to volunteer. I don't want to be paid. I want to just basically learn and work with people who are qualified. And that would be my top tip to boys and girls who don't make it as a player. Actually make it so you can be in a position to volunteer your time, even if it's 10 hours a week. And I find that's the best way to get in with a club because clubs love you. Do you agree, Vicken?
I completely agree, Ray, because in in a very difficult uh, environment of getting jobs, there are so many people. I think uh, the clubs or any company which you're going to work for, they're not going to take your CV. They're going to hire you, and if you can work for free for a few months and get into the industry and organization, I think that will be the best way to take it forward. And I know, but the thing is, once you start working, then you'll realize that if you are good, the company will make sure that they'll hire you. Yeah. So I
Yeah,
think there is no, you do a 6 month internship program or whatever you feel like you want to do, because then you're going to learn. Because in internship, you're not going to be, you're not going to be given targets like you have to do this and that. So you go into the organization and work as an intern, and you learn different aspect. Not only marketing, you see the logistics side, you see how the operational side is working. So you get the whole thing, basically.
yeah. Now, next question's from a player called Maya. I think you might have met Maya before.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
I did met.
so she said, what inspirations and goals do you have to inspire the future of football, maybe in England or around the world?
Oh, I knew Maya could answer. Maya could ask this kind of question. So I would like to say hello, Maya. You are a amazing talent, and I can assure, because I saw you in the gym where the boys were sweating. Maya's heart rate was perfectly fine. So there is some really big talent, Maya. But I would say inspiration is all about football. Football is something where we all are awake for yesterday's Champions League game against Real Madrid and Man City. Yeah, I think most of you guys would have seen that game, and Mbappe came to life yesterday. So I think
Yeah,
inspiration is all about why we wake up. I think we wake up to do something great in life, and I think my inspiration would be to uh, leave a legacy where one person who come from India change football, and maybe working with Ray and the whole team, I think I'll be able to make it a better version of myself in India, all across the globe. So I think that would be the thing. I think inspiration comes from your own personal life, because my inspiration is my destiny to work in football. That's why I left a very comfortable life back home. And once you start getting into uncomfortable position, you might get the success. So becoming a football player is not easy, guys. Trust me on that.
it's a really good point you're making. It's one thing we speak about. Like we done an event last weekend down in Sydney in the Central Coast. We're off to Adelaide tomorrow to do another event. So anyone who's tuned in as well, you're going to get access to watch that event live. And we actually speak about putting yourself in tricky situations is where you'll learn. You'll learn if you're strong enough, if you're not strong enough, if you're weak. But hopefully you'll reflect on that and then you'll actually learn from it and get better. And that's one of the things I say, whether you want to make it as a player, you want to make it as an agent, whatever you want to do in football, putting yourself in them tricky situations is so important because that's where you develop as a person. And actually making
And
mistakes is a good thing.
yeah, and I think, Ray, becoming a football player is a, see, you can become an engineer, you can become a pilot, you can do anything. but becoming a football player is a lifelong journey. It's a discipline. You have to be so disciplined. I mean, Messi is a God gifted talent. And if you see Ronaldo, he did what he's doing until now at the age of 38, 39, because he's so disciplined. Discipline will make you go to different level. So basically, Dixon, are you listening? Hello, Nixon, I can see you. So if Nixon is doing 10 push-ups and the other guy is doing 15, you talk about in a month how many the Nixon is doing and how many the other guy is doing. If Nixon is doing 50 crunches and the other guy is doing 30 crunches, Nixon will have more core ability so he can run faster. So
Yeah.
that's the whole game. I mean, if Nixon does 50 free kicks and the other guy does 20, Nixon is going to be a next Beckham, yeah? So,
Yeah.
so I mean, it's all about the numbers, how much time and effort you put. And Nixon, I hope you're not taking Coca-Colas or burgers. You need to focus because I can see you're a talent, yeah? You're listening and you very carefully you're listening. So I think food habits for footballers is going to be very interesting because if you have seen Haaland's diet, is something very interesting, and it's the parents. Ray, I just give you something that I think the players don't become players just for the sake they are good players. They become, it's a combined effort of parents, because you have to give your because as a parent, I see that if Jaden has to become a football player, me and my wife are a team, both has to support. So Bellingham is a clear example. Jude and his brother, the mother takes care of the senior one, and the father takes care of the younger one.
Yeah.
So I think the parents will uh, be a key in making any kid big.
Yeah, it's huge. We talk about it all the time about the influence of parents, and it is exactly that. It's a team effort. And we done the studies in the Premier League, and we used to say it's a triangle. And in the triangle,
Uh-huh.
you've got the player, the parents, and the club or the coach. And it's all got to work
Okay.
in synergy. And if it doesn't, and the triangle's broken, it won't work. And that's just such a good point. Now we've got a couple of more questions I want to try and get through. And this sort of touches on, we've already covered a similar one, but I like the end of the question. So I want you to see if you can help us with this. So, what's the best way to make a brand as a player when we talk about socials? But I want to add something on the end of that for you, Vip. And do you believe, as a parent, but also someone who works in professional football, do you think social media is a good thing for football players or not? It's an
Well,
interesting
I
one.
mean, as a who asked this question? Can I have the name?
It was Matt F. Thank you for that question, Matt.
Hi, Matt. I think if I am a marketer, I would say, Matt, social media is very important. But as a father or as a footballer, I would say, until and unless I become something really big, I shouldn't be going too much into social media, because I know if you, Matt, I'll give you a trivia. You keep social media away from you for next 15 days, 21 days. You're going to be seeing some changes in the amount of time you're going to be spending for your football, because you can see right now on your settings how much time you put on phone in social media. You'll get the answer what I'm trying to say. So
Yeah,
that would be my question. I think I gave a question back again. So I
yeah.
think as a marketer, I would say, Matt, social media is very important. But I think as a footballer, so very big example, Ray, I could give is Rodri. Rodri is not on social media.
No. And
Ronaldo is on social media, but
people said he'd never win the Ballon d'Or because he's not on social media, but he won the Ballon d'Or.
see, my coach from India, he always tell me one interesting. So the field doesn't ask for the name. Field asks for your training and your time.
Yeah,
You can be a big player, but the field won't ask which is a big player. He'll always ask the time and the dedication you give to the game. I think that would be a good answer for Matt.
yeah. Now, there's another question, and it's sort of being angled at me a little bit, but I'll answer it a little bit, but then I'm gonna pass it to you. But it was by Dan H. And he said, Ray, you felt at the age of 15, if you're 15, you likely won't make it as a professional football player if you're not playing pro. What was the major factor that confirmed this for you? So just to clarify from my side, what I've said is that if you start playing at the age of 15, for me, you've got no chance of making it as a pro, because the studies that we done on the EPPP project with the Premier League and the FA, the 1.6 billion pound that was spent on that project, we knew, let's imagine you've got a bank and you need to deposit money. What we discovered was, before puberty, before players go through the change, you need to deposit so much technique into the muscle memory. And there's a certain level. So for me, you can still make it at 15 if you're not playing professional. And the example I can give you, Jamie Vardy was not playing pro football at 20. He started playing for Fleetwood Town, and I got alerted to Jamie Vardy because my good friend, Stephen Schumacher, who's now the head coach of Bolton, he was on his way to Fleetwood to sign for Fleetwood, but he got tipped off about this boy called Jamie Vardy. So we went and had a little look at him, and then we took a bit of a chance on him. And everyone will know I've shared the story that Jamie Vardy, unfortunately, he's an amazing guy, he's an amazing person, he's been a great player, but he did smoke and drink alcohol. And
And
my
Red Bull.
big, and Red Bulls with vodka. And the big thing for me, I always said for Jamie Vardy, is that if he would have given up smoking and drinking, I think he would have maybe went down as one of the greatest strikers of all time. So that's my example. But for you, Vipin, to fire the question to you, do you, what's your personal opinion? Because this is this is the reason why we love football. Everyone's got an opinion, and it can be very subjective. But what's your opinion? When is it too late to make it as a player, and what are some of them factors?
I think it's a very interesting. I'll give you in a business side of answer for that. So if you would have put $10 in Tesla 15 years back or 10 years back, you would have been a if you would have bought a Bitcoin, let's suppose, for how many you could have been a millionaire, yeah? Here.
Yeah,
That's how football is. How much time and dedication you put. But at the end of the day, there is no time limit. You can become anyone. But I think in football, what Ray said is very important, that few techniques. So my son, who's 2 years old, he picks up things which normally people won't be doing at the age of 8 as well, by dribbling the ball. So I can see I'm teaching him a skill, he's learning. So as soon as you start early, because in UK they start at 18 months. There is an academy called DD Kicks. They are training at 18 months to 24 months. So it's crazy what's happening. Yeah, every parent want their kid to become a player. I think there is no
yeah,
age limit, right, for me, because I started when I was 8 years old, because I played cricket 1 year. But as a footballer, I could do 1500 meters, I could do 800-meter cross country. So when I was 17, I did 6 kilometers in 17 minutes.
wow,
So, but if you bring that thing into what Jamie Vardy and few other players which develops late, I think we can see there is a it's I think it's all depends on your human brain. You can do anything in your life if you keep us uh, like a target. Like I if for example I say I want to do this, so your mind is the key. That will be my answer, Ray. That if you think you can, you will. But if you think you can't, you won't. So give
yeah,
your 100%. If you do it, it's good. If you don't do it, then you won't have any regret. Yeah. So I think
yeah.
give 100%.
I love that. I love it. It's a really great way of looking at it. And one of the things that I've discovered over the years, that I used to put coaches up on a pedestal, and some coaches are amazing, but then I realized some of the people I used to learn from within the football world was people who worked in the sports science department. Or even the best bit of advice I ever got was when I was at Leicester City, and it was from a cleaner and someone who just loved football. And it was all around exactly what you spoke about. He said, if you mop up and down this floor for 4 or 5 hours a day, by the end of 10 years, you're going to be the most professional cleaner on the planet. He said, but if you apply that same principle to anything in life, you will, and it's no, what's the word I'm looking for? It's not strange to me to actually now tell you that that guy who used to clean at the stadium is now the head of scouting for Leicester City. So
Okay.
it shows you that once you learn it, it's just getting consistent and doing the same thing over and over again. And what he done was during his journey of being a cleaner at Leicester City, he actually just used to speak to everyone on a daily basis and ask them what they were doing, what the job was in football. And then he decided he actually really liked the scouting aspect of the club. And then he started to speak with the guys in the scouting team. And then roll on 15, 20 years later, he's the head scout for Leicester City.
There you go. And I think uh, football is a very interesting game where people have started putting a lot of money in analytics. The biggest example I could give you, I worked on it, is Brighton Football Club. And Mr. Tony Bloom, who's the owner of the club, he runs a company called Star Lizard. And that company works on an analytic model, and they can get players like Caicedo for 4 million from South America. And I think the interesting part of Star Lizard is only Mr. Tony Bloom know how to run run that software. So he has an
Yeah,
edge over anyone in the world.
yeah.
I would like to meet Mr. Tony Bloom, but I won't be able to meet him soon, but hopefully, because he got like very crazy, interesting players like Mitomo, your this guy Caicedo for 4 million and sold it for 120 million. So they are the only club who have made profits on players. And I'll ask you a question, guys. What do you think the best club in terms of revenue in Premier League so far in last 20 years? Ray, I know you might be knowing that answer, but I'll give it to the guys. Which is the best club you think has earned money out of football club being in Premier League from last 10 years?
I'll tell you what we'll do, Vic, and don't tell us what the answer is. We'll give everyone a chance to guess it. If
Yeah.
anyone gets it right, we'll give you the prize, and I'll tell you what the prize is in a minute. So we'll come back to that, guys. So which club in the last 20 years has made the most profits? And that might be through selling players and ticket sales. Does it include everything, Vippin?
Yeah, I think let's suppose 10 to 15 years, you revenue wise, profit wise, which is the
Okay.
club which is.
All right, guys. So if you wanna win a prize, whoever gets it right, and if you're the first one to put it in the comments, Vippin will announce you as the winner, and I'll give you a prize, and I'm going to give you a Champions League football. How does that sound?
Wow.
Nixon's
Oh,
like,
wow.
I want that. I want that. I can see Nixon on the camera. And you know what I love about Nixon as well, Vippin? You know, every time we have a Zoom call, he's on the camera and I can see him listening and paying attention. And
Guys,
yeah.
no chat GPT, okay? No chat GPT or Google. You have to be true to yourself.
Now, I want to ask you one question and then we'll go back to them answers and then we're going to finish off for the night because I know you've got a very busy day ahead. But the question I want to ask you, what's the
Yeah.
one best bit of advice in your lifetime that you've taken on board that you could give to some of our young players to help them on the football journey? But when I say the football journey, I don't just mean as a player, maybe as being a coach or working for a club when they're older. Can you give them like your one top tip?
I think my advice would be discipline is the key, and have a mentor who can help you guide through this journey, because it's not easy to become a football player. Yeah. You need people around like your family, people like Ray or anyone, if you feel that, because being a footballer is a alone journey, because sometimes you're going to be with your parents or sometimes you're going to be alone. I think you need to have a close circle of people which you can talk to, because football is a place where sometimes you're not going to perform well, and then you might not you someday you so example, you see Anthony. Yeah, I saw him few days back at Old Trafford. He was not even walking while the Emery told him to train. So my advice is, Ray, basically is just to be disciplined and have good people around, and have a mindset and have a good. So it's basically when you're going to like, I'll give a big example of Michael Jordan. So when people and Kobe, when people used to go for party, he was at the gym.
Yeah.
When people used to sleep, he was up at 4 o'clock. So that's the key. I mean, my advice would be, if you want to reach your goal, you will get it if you put your efforts in. I
It's
think.
it's so true. It's so true. And I've studied it for 25 years. I've seen all the success stories and we always see the same thing over and over again. And it's no surprise that someone like David Beckham who at the time was admittedly a world-class player because he won everything in the game. But when we looked at the data, what we actually discovered with David Beckham was he was actually just really good at crossing or taking free kicks. And that was enough to be world-class. And that was enough to make Real Madrid's team, Manchester United's team. So that's what I encourage players. Just hone one skill and practice it over and over again and get really good at it. But what we do is on our pro player pathway, we actually hone 5 skills and we give them 5 objectives. And that's what we say to the players. That's what we want them to do. Now, Champions League ball giveaway. This is exciting. Now, Vipin, can you tell us who the club is? And I'll tell you who the first correct answer was.
I think nobody would have guessed it because I think Reed. I think
Can I have a
I'll give
guess?
you. Is there anyone who left for answer? Maya, did Maya answer?
I don't know if Maya answered. We got Dan H, we got Matty F, we got Jake Watson, Roddy, Kelly Lowe, and we got Nixon Vittles. And then I'm going to have a guess because I don't know the answer, guys. I'm going to say Wolves. That's my guess. Wolverhampton Wanderers. I'm going to
So
ask
will I
Vip,
get
and what's
the
the answer?
prize? Will I get the prize?
Yeah, if you get it right, you got to tell me.
Oh, I know. So the best run club and getting wise, revenue wise, the answer is Tottenham.
Tottenham Hotspur. Wow. Okay, so I'll tell you the answers that we got, and let's see who got it right. So Dan H said Brighton, so that was wrong. Matty F said Man City. Jake Watson Roddy said Brighton. Kelly Lowe said Liverpool. Nixon said Newcastle. West Ham was Kelly Lowe. I want to give the ball away. So this is what we're going to do to give the ball away. Whoever types Tottenham Hotspur with the correct spelling first wins the ball. Go. Put it in the chat. Oh, that was fast. Give Kelly Lowe a big clap. Well done, Kelly. You've won the Champions League ball. Awesome work. That was fast. And the spelling is correct. Tottenham Hotspur. Well done, Kelly Lowe. Vipin, a big thank you for joining us. Now, everyone, we're going to be doing some collaboration work with Vipin. Vipin's going to be helping us with our school community and app. Also, if you want to speak to Vipin, I don't think he'll mind me saying this, but he's actually a member within the community. So as long as you don't give him too many questions, if you drop him a little message every now and again, I'm sure he'll get back to you within the community and help you. So you can directly message Vipin, Vipin, and maybe let's keep it to one question every month, and he'll do his best to help us.
And I'm in Bray. I'll give you to these kids. If you guys want any question, any answer, I'll be available. Bear in mind, I might take little time to answer back, but I'll make sure I'll answer everything because I think whatever you want to play or develop as a professional, and working with Ray, it gives me. I feel I'll give you the answer, man. I mean, you can connect with me. I'm on Instagram, but I rarely post. But with a 2-year-old, it's very interesting for me. So, but I'll definitely answer. If I see your message, I'll answer 100%.
Really appreciate that, Vipin. And that's the beauty, guys, of this community and being on the app is that we are going to be surprising you. We've got some big collaborations coming. We've got some people who are going to join the community who are going to blow your mind. And all I will tell you without revealing too much, we've just done a deal with a player who we were speaking about tonight, who's going to be coming on the platform this year. Watch this space. It's going to be huge. Yes. Now,
I mean,
Vipin, we're going to be coming over to the UK on 7th of March, and we're coming up to Liverpool.
Okay.
We're going to come and say hello to you at Tranmere. We're going to do a little bit of a 15-minute Q&A with you, if that's okay with you, and we're going to record it and share it with everyone. Also, we want you to help us. We're going to be doing a live from Wembley Stadium, and we'd love to do a little 10-minute connect with you and share it with everyone on our community as well.
Okay. I'll try to meet you on 7th, and as well as because I have few family who's asking me to come over to London. So this would be the time when they could meet me.
Perfect.
So Ray, I used to stay near Wembley 10 years back. In 2012, when I was studying my master's from Middlesex University, I was staying
Yeah.
right next to the Wembley Stadium. I used to stay in
Wow.
Wembley Park, and I think
Amazing.
I heard that that place has changed a lot
Oh,
in last 10
it's
years.
it's it's amazing. Like the apartment blocks, the hotels, the restaurants, the bars.
I
We
should have
went
bought
to
a flat.
Wembley 3 times last year, and it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We're going to let you go. Just to remind
Okay.
everyone, we have got a competition in our community, and we are giving away. Listen to this, Vipin. Return flights to Germany, to Munich for the Champions League final for one lucky winner, and a match ticket to join me at the Champions League final. And all you've got to do is read the rules in the community. So if you go to the community, look under giveaways and read the rules of the Champions League giveaway. And we're going to choose one of our community to join me at the Champions League final in May 2025.
There you go. Like, here we go. There's no here we go. Only way we go. Yeah,
There
guys.
we go.
Take
A big thank you to everyone for joining us, and a
care,
big
guys.
thank you,
Take care.
Vipin, for your time.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Ray. Have a good day.
See you, Nixon. See you, mate.